FanDuel has released their salaries for the 2023 regular season Week 1 main slate. So let's take a first look at those prices as we build a way too early cash lineup, and it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. This is Eric Lee with the Fantasy Football Consultants. If you've been noticing, we have had a super busy preseason. Here's what the insider goal is. We are going to try to release a video every day between now and the start of the season. That started back in July, so there's already been a ton of content. Check in the description for links for our other preseason shows. We have power ranked all 32 teams of the NFL. We have predicted over/under NFL win totals. We took the first look at the DraftKings salaries, and we've had some fun on lighter topics in picking the best 2023 team names and league names for your fantasy football leagues. All right. If you don't want to miss any of our future content, you got to make sure you're subscribed. So please do me a favor, smash that red subscriber button, and let's get into it. I took a look at the entire internet to see, has anyone broken down the FanDuel Week 1 main slate salaries yet for 2023? It was just released yesterday, and nothing. So we will boldly go where no one has gone before. All right, we're on the main slate for Week 1 for FanDuel, and let's first talk about the actual games. You see on the main slate, there's really 3 key games that we're going to want to target. Why? Because these are all high scoring, and in my personal opinion, they will be competitive games. In the morning, the early game, Cincinnati and Cleveland is a 47 over under, and then 2 afternoon games, the Rams at Seattle, 46.5 over under, and then the crown jewel matchup, also in the afternoon, the Miami Dolphins at the LA Chargers, 49.5 over under. So we'll keep that in mind. And the other thing to keep in mind, if you look over in the corner, it says 28 days until this main slate happens. That's a lifetime, folks. It's important to take this early look and start figuring out where the value plays are and what type of injuries we want to watch, which is all stuff we're going to talk about in this video. But you cannot set a lineup this early and forget it. You have to watch the news and look for opportunities that are going to come up, because they're not going to change these salaries. The salaries are fixed. Now, we are going to have future videos on this channel on the FanDuel main slate. So to the extent that we see value plays and we see news that affects our lineup, we will update this lineup. So quick advisory, we are going to build a cash lineup. In a cash lineup, of course, if you're doing a 50-50, it doesn't matter whether you finish first or barely in that top 50 percentile, you get the same payout. So you don't want to necessarily maximize your ceiling. You want to maximize your floor. So with that, I know that there's discussion in our earlier video, hey, should you be stacking in cash games? Not necessarily, right? I would think that it's not, all things equal, you would probably prefer not to stack. If you think that there's a stack that is a really good bargain, that you think that not only gives you a higher ceiling, but it gives you a floor because of the bargain, sure, you can stack, but it absolutely is not required in a cash lineup. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start at running back. And when we look at the premier running backs, there is one that kind of stands out to me because he simply checks all the boxes. It's Austin Eckler. He is at home. He is favored. He has a very nice 26.5 point total. We're getting exposure to that crown jewel game I talked about, the Charger-Dolphin game. And of course, he gets heavily involved in the passing game. He should still be the goal line back or get a lot of goal line opportunities. So, and the only concern we had him in the offseason is he going to be disgruntled with his contract? They added incentives for the 2023 year, so he's good to go. He's a happy camper. Really excited that we can start our lineup with Austin Eckler. $9,000. We're just going to pay the man, just like someone next year is going to have to pay the man. All right. Who are going to team Austin Eckler with? Don't like Derrick Henry's matchup at New Orleans for the money. So I'm going to actually scroll down a ways here to get to a guy who is the bell cow back in a very good matchup, in my opinion. So keep going. At $6,600, that is a bargain, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get Cam Akers in our lineup. Let's not forget what happened last year with Cam Akers. He started the year before, the 2021 year, in the postseason, hurting his Achilles. So it took him a while to recover last year from that. So, but by mid-season, he was in back to his usual self, and he went crazy at the end of the year. He ended with 24 touches, 20 touches, and 25 touches. I expect to get similar exposure. Sean McVay has said right here, he is going to be a central figure in this offense. Can we trust him? I don't know, but I think that he will be, and I love the matchup against Seattle. I know that they are underdogs, but look at what the Seattle Seahawks rush defense did last year. It was terrible. You guys know that I'm a big Seahawk fan. I can attest that it was bad. But as a Seahawk fan, I'm frustrated by they didn't do much to improve that rush defense. They did a lot of things to improve the team, but not a lot against the rush defense. So I think this is something Cam Akers can expose. All right. So with that, before we go on, there's a couple things I want to point out on running backs to keep your eye on. Speaking about my Seattle Seahawks, I'm worried a little bit about Ken Walker, who hurt himself in the preseason, and we're just going to have to watch his health. If Ken Walker is out, oh my gosh, what an unbelievable bargain. Their second-round draft pick this year, Zach Charbonnet. This is exactly why they got him. He can he is more of a pass catching back, but he can take on the bell cow role. So it's a must start for Charbonnet if Ken Walker is out starting the main slate. Right now, it appears that it shouldn't be a serious injury, so hoping he does play, but something to watch out for. All right. The other item that I want you to pay attention to is in Denver. So we'll switch over to Denver. The key question is going to be for Denver is Javonte Williams. What is his health like coming off an ACL injury last year? I thought there was an excellent chance he would be out in week 1, but the preliminary reports on him is it looks like he is progressing well and could very well be ready for week 1. However, if he is not ready for week 1, I would jump all over Samaje Perine. He's already going to get the pass catching role, but without Williams, he's going to get a lot more carries and a bigger role. So love the matchup. They're home favorites against, let's face it, a very bad Las Vegas team and defense. So it's something to watch for. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. Wide receiver, I am going to choose to pay up a little bit. Let's get all the teams back on. Who are the top guys? Look, I think Justin Jefferson is outstanding. He's the best wide receiver in fantasy football, but he's expensive at $9,500. I'll tell you who I think the second best wide receiver in all of football is Jamar Chase. So for now, I'm going to put Jamar Chase in my lineup and save the $1,000. I expect that value will come up. So it's possible later, if we get some value elsewhere, we could go up from Jamar Chase to Justin Jefferson, who I think is a very nice matchup against a bad Tampa Bay defense, especially pass defense. So with Jamar Chase, there's a huge caveat. watch the health of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow needs to prove that he is 100%. Otherwise, we need to pass on starting Jamar Chase. So if we take a look at Jamar Chase, just as a quick reminder, the guy was a target hog. He finished on a per game basis, second in targets, third in receptions, and fourth in receiving touchdowns. I mean, this guy is premier. It's great that we can get him in our lineup. And it's great that we see that, they played Cleveland twice last year. He was injured in one game. So the one game he played was pretty good. 10 catches on 15 targets and 23.5 fantasy points. We love it. So nice that we can get Austin Eckler and Jamar Chase in our FanDuel lineup. Means we have to save some money, but we're not going to sacrifice talent. We're going to pick a number one wide receiver on his team, but we're going to save big time money at only $6,300. Can you believe this? We're just scrolling. Welcome to the team, DJ Moore. The DJ Moore that is on the Bears now. He looks great in preseason, already connecting with a long touchdown pass from Justin Fields. Along with Chase and Moore, give us Mike Evans as the third wide receiver. I get it. I know Tom Brady is gone, and we're probably going to be stuck with Baker Mayfield, but he gets a premier matchup facing the Minnesota Vikings, who had just a horrendous defense overall, but especially pass defense. And they brought in Coach Brian Flores, but they didn't do a whole lot as far as improving their pass defense. So I think they're going to be weak again. And that's going to provide lots of opportunities for Mike Evans, someone who is a highly targeted guy, he and Chris Godwin in this offense. I'm a little surprised that he comes off on FanDuel as so cheap at $6,500, but let's take advantage. Speaking of cheap, I just want you to keep an eye on another guy who I think could very well be the number one wide receiver on his team, and he's cheaper than Mike Evans. He's cheaper than DJ Moore, and I'm continuing to scroll down at $5,600. Watch out for DJ Shark. He's facing an Atlanta team that did make some improvements on defense, but they were terrible last year, and I don't think that they'll be anything better than average at best defensively this year. Hey, he's got the number one pick, Bryce Young, throwing to him. He should be the starter in week 1. Who else do they have? They brought him Adam Thielen, who is getting older by the day. I think DJ Shark is going to be Young's top option this year. And to get him in at $5,600 is a huge bargain. So for now, I am not going to put him in the lineup. I want to watch the preseason news and see how he is connecting with Young, but he's absolutely someone on FanDuel I want to watch. He might be in our final lineup. All right, we're going to move on to tight end. And yeah, so the two big, there's no Travis Kelce on this main slate. So the two stars are Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson. They're both at home. They both are favored. They're both in very good matchups against really bad defenses. I get it. They're great options, but man, does FanDuel make you pay for it. $8,000 and $7,200. So as much as I like them, unless I can get much value elsewhere, I'm really happy saving a bunch of money on those guys, going down the $5,800 and getting Evan Ingram, who's also in a very good matchup. And look how busy Ingram was last year. 8th in targets overall, 7th in receptions on a per game basis. We love that. But he was even better in his last 8 games. In his last 8 games, he averaged 6 receptions, 67 yards, and a total out of those 8 games of 4 TDs. I just love this Jaguar offense behind QB Trevor Lawrence. So let's take stake of where we are. We have an average of $5,767. That's not too bad, since we still have to pick a defense, which we will probably save money on. Let's go to quarterback. Unfortunately, we can't afford yet in this build a top-of-the-line quarterback. You can see the top three quarterbacks, just like on DraftKings and FanDuel, are Hurts, Jackson, and Fields. What do they all have in common, ladies and gentlemen? They're all big rushing threats. So I get why they priced them up. If I had more money, I think I would invest in Justin Fields. He is $600 or $700 cheaper than the other two, and he's in a pretty good matchup, like I said, at home. He comes in perfectly healthy. He comes in with another major weapon in DJ Moore. But I'm going to opt elsewhere to save a bunch of money on Justin Fields. It's too enticing. Let's go down all the way to $7,200 and get Geno Smith in our lineup. Man, Geno Smith had such a great year last year, and I know a lot of people are worried. Was that a fluke? Is he going to come down to earth? But what you have to know, as a big Seahawks fan who's followed the Seahawks, they have made major improvements in the offense to help Geno Smith. They've improved their offensive line. They've added a running back in Zach Charbonnet, who's a better pass receiver and pass blocker than Ken Walker. They've greatly improved their third wide receiver spot, where they now have Jackson Smith-Njigba, and they retain the two top wide receivers in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So, and then on top of all that, he gets the cushiest of cushy matchups in week one, facing the LA Rams. 22 against the pass last year, and I got news for you. It's going to be a lot worse this year. Why? Because that same Ram team got rid of almost all their talent on defense. Gone is Bobby Wagner. Gone is Jalen Ramsey. Gone is safeties Taylor Rapp and Nick Scott. And guess who replaced them? Just listen to the crickets. Nobody, no big names replaced them. So I think there's going to be every opportunity. And besides, Ken Walker may be coming in either out or banged up, so they may have to rely even more on that passing game. I haven't asked for you guys. Please go in the comment section and tell us what your takes are for FanDuel's Week 1 main slate. Who do you like? Who's that high-priced guy that you got to have in the lineup? And who's the value plays that you think will be really good? Let's go to the flex spot. I'm pretty excited to get this guy in. He's another guy who I think is a number one wide receiver on his team. And let me just be blunt about it. He's too cheap. He's actually the same price on DraftKings as it is on FanDuel, even though FanDuel has $60,000 of salary versus DraftKings has $50,000. Who am I talking about? At only $6,700, give me some Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy, I think, will be the beneficiary of Sean Payton helping this offense and Russell Wilson bouncing back, maybe not going to his form of his vintage Seahawk years, but a lot better than where he was most of last year. So, and love the game environment by in this for Jerry Jeudy. He faces a very bad Las Vegas Raiders team and defense, 29th against the pass, and they didn't do a whole lot to improve that in the offseason. And look at the exposure that Jerry Jeudy has gotten. I know that Cortland Sutton is also on the team, but Cortland Sutton hasn't been the same since his ACL. I believe Jerry Jeudy is the number one wide receiver here. Defense. One of the first things I looked at when I looked at defense, DraftKings inexplicably has the Washington Commanders at a very low relative price, I think $2,800. So I immediately wanted to see, are they a bargain on FanDuel? No. They have them priced up as the second most expensive defense. So we're not going there. We're going to scroll down. Defenses, remember, folks, are so volatile. We don't want to rely on it. We just want to find a defense that's cheap, that should give us some opportunity to have a reasonable floor. And when I look at these defenses, one completely stands out. It's the LA Chargers. And I know some of you could say, what? Why the Chargers? They come from that really high-scoring game, a lot of points. Isn't a defense that scores a lot of points on them really bad? The answer is not necessarily, right? What we want from our defense is facing a team that's going to throw the ball. And because when you throw the ball, that's where all your sacks occur, all your interceptions, and a majority of your fumbles occur. And that's where you really start piling up the fantasy points, especially if you can get a turnover with a touchdown return. So of all these teams, only one of them is at home. It's the Chargers. Of all these teams, only one of them is favored. It's the Chargers. So from a game script perspective, the Chargers very well could be playing from ahead, and Tua and company could be throwing the ball, could force some mistakes. Give me the Chargers at only $3,400. So as a quick reminder, we did the same first look type of analysis, although different players because it was different salaries, on DraftKings. If you missed that video, I'll put that on the screen, as well as another preseason video for this 2023 season, which we think you might enjoy.